Greetings everyone, my name is Buck Business. Konnichiwa, I'm a Kawaii critic, and today we are here to review My Little Pony Season 8, Episode 20 of the Washouts. So, this episode is rather interesting, and maybe I'm just misremembering, but I'm pretty sure this episode might break some continuity. After all, I think it was Scootaloo that was warning Rainbow Dash of a dangerous stunt involving adding on some material. I think that was the case. It could be misremembering. It has been a while, but if that is the case, then this episode does feel a little bit out of place. But the actual events in the episode, barring aside continuity, are actually pretty interesting. So let's get into it. So, the episode begins with Scootaloo-chan starting up her fan club for Rainbow Dash-chan, but she ends it early and leads them all out. This, by the way, is all going on while Rainbow Dash-chan is watching all of this go down. She puts up new posters for this new group called the Washouts and claims to be the sole new member of this club. So, Rainbow Dash watches on, and she goes in on Scootaloo, who explains that this group, again, is just more exciting than the Wonderbolts. And it is interesting to see her interest be piqued in a different direction, but again, I'm not entirely sure that direction is something she tried to have Rainbow Dash avoid earlier in one of the earlier seasons. So, Rainbow Dash joins the others and explains her worry about all of this going down, and Pinkie Pie says to check it out. So she begins to complain as even before the show officially starts. But as the show goes on, she starts to enjoy the show more and more. We see that afterwards they meet up with this group, and they kind of laugh off when they say she's a Wonderbolt. And they laugh because they were all apparently previous Wonderbolt members. This includes the 3 members, Rolling Thunder-san, Short Fuse-san, and the return of Lightning Dust-san, who was a long rival of Rainbow Dash-san. Nonetheless, Scootaloo-chan is impressed by Lightning Dust's display of talent and daring. So, Lightning Dust-san claims that she believes that anyone can join this group. It doesn't matter whether or not the individual can fly or not, which is probably the biggest interest of getting Scootaloo-chan into this group, is that acceptance of you don't need to be able to fly to join this group, at least according to Lightning Dust-san, if that even is true. Although she does later on say that there is a caveat that they need to be dropped out of the Wonderbolts, and last time I checked, the Wonderbolts were exclusive to Flyers, as far as I know, so I think Lightning Dust-san's concept is a little broken right out of the gate. She claims that anyone can join, but then says right after that, or before that, that there is the rule that you have to be dropped out of the Wonderbolt, so it can't possibly go both ways. I don't know if she even realized that, or maybe that was the fault on the writers for not realizing that simple fact. I'm not sure which. It's kind of hard to tell. Anyways, Scootaloo decides to join Lightning Dust regardless, but Rainbow says no on Scootaloo's behalf. So they go over to Spitfire, who uses this full body cast remark over and over to pretty much attempt to scare Scootaloo out of doing this. So Rainbow starts to remove Scootaloo's stuff, the new posters she had gotten, but Scootaloo had went off already. And Rainbow runs into Twilight, who saw Scootaloo go off. And while the two of them go off, Twilight explains the draw of this group of the Washouts. And when she explains it, it's probably the best reference in MLP history. She says that the draw comes from it being daring and explosive and all that good stuff, but that is the most subtle MLP reference in its history, making a subtle reference again to Twilight's mom, who, if you remember, was a character that wanted the excitement, the thrill of things, and seeing Twilight exhibit those qualities as well, again, it's a very subtle reference. They never say it's from her mom. They never actually outright say what the reference is, so I gotta give props to that part of the episode. It was really, really good. Nonetheless, Scootaloo-chan comes out in the new uniform and goes off on Rainbow-san when Rainbow-san says, she should not do this and over again. But Scootaloo-chan mentions how she can't fly, and she finally actually says the words that she can't fly. I don't think she's ever actually said those exact words. Like, she's made reference to not being able to fly and looked at her wings and kind of vaguely worded it in a way that never actually mentioned that she said she couldn't fly, but now she has finally actually said it, if I'm correct. And yeah, Twilight-san says that, that Scootaloo-chan has to come to her own conclusion on this sort of thing. So the setup of the actual stunt is to jump over 22 wagons, and this setup is a very clear reference to Evel Knievel, which is probably one of the earliest stunt devil individuals that probably has ever existed, and has been used in a lot of other shows and animations and the like. So Scootaloo-chan gets shown to the rocket she'll be going off on it, and she gets explained that this has clearly never even been tested, and now is starting to actually question the logistics of all of this. However, Lightning Dust makes her go anyway, not even, caring for Scootaloo's safety in all of this, and now she's going off. But before she can skyrocket off into the sky, Rainbow Dash shaves her. And in the process, when Lightning Dust lands, she ends up getting caught up in the rocket and then getting blasted off again like a Team Rocket reference. They both apologize, that being Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash. Scootaloo for making this decision somewhat carelessly, and Rainbow Dash for sort of forcing down her views on Scootaloo. So there are essentially two lessons in this episode, which is pretty good. And in the process, Rainbow starts a new fan club for Scootaloo, which she checks out. And that is the recap portion of this review. So again, this episode, I feel it's a very mixed bag. Again, I don't know, I don't remember if this breaks continuity or not. If it does, then the first like half of this episode is probably some of the worst stuff ever. But in a weird sort of way, it's sort of also kind of cool to see it at the same time. It's bizarre. It's definitely interesting. Uh, the sort of daredevil outlook. We mentioned the Evil Knievel reference. There are people out there who make a living, may or have made a living out of, just going reckless, and they came to those conclusions on their own, most likely. But most likely also had parents or people around them saying that they probably shouldn't do that for their safety and health. And it's kind of hard to say which side is completely 100% right. I mean, people have made a living off of doing these daring stunts. There is, I haven't seen anyone kind of very recently that has done, has made an expert lifestyle based off of these decisions, recently anyway. But again, there was a time and a place, and there were individuals who just wanted to do it, and they got the exposure, and they lived their lives that way. And it's kind of hard to say whether or not it's you can't really say that that's completely wrong. I mean, when you put in the context of MLP, though, Lightning Dust clearly just put Scootaloo in danger and didn't even care, so it paints the picture of a more black and white, unfortunately, and kind of just leaves out the gray part. And I feel like the gray part is sort of there, but it's in a character that is very, very short in the episode, which is Twilight. Again, she makes the quick reference saying that there is an appeal to this, but I feel like there could have been more of that in the episode to really make the decision a moral gray area, because I do think there is a place for this kind of stuff, and maybe it has a future in Equestria, and maybe Lightning Dust can, I think there is potential there with that, with her as well, for growth of her character if they really do decide to continue on with this sort of, quote, rivalry. There's a lot potentially there, but I don't think they're probably ever going to do it. I mean, let's face it, there is only 9 seasons, and we're already on season 8, so there isn't much time left, but I could be completely wrong on that, and we could see at least one more episode. We'll have to wait and see. But that is our review of the episode. Stick top, ting tong tori! And if you enjoyed this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, farewell. Bye-bye!